Hi there, my name is Portia Tabandike, and today I'm going to be talking with you about ENVoY, the power of nonverbals in visual directions in classroom management. To start with, we're going to think of some of the most challenging parts of classroom management. Go ahead, take a piece of paper and a pen and write down as many examples as you can think of. If you need some inspiration, you can look at the picture. I'm sure some of you said that transitions are difficult, moving students between classrooms. Maybe you said getting students into group work is also difficult. Well, ENVoY can help with all of these transitions. The founder of ENVoY is Michael Grinder. As you can see, he's written a book or two, or 10, on different teaching topics. ENVoY stands for Everyday Nonverbal Yardsticks. As you can see, if we leave out the O, the acronym would be ENVy, and so Mr. Grinder added an O so it sounds more appealing, ENVoY. Mr. Grinder sees education through binoculars. There's two lenses to it. There's curriculum and there's classroom management. A lot of teachers get into teaching because they're so passionate about the curriculum piece. But when they get into the classroom, they're blindsided because they may not feel prepared for the classroom management part. Michael emphasizes the importance of both binoculars, both lenses being at their max. And ENVoY looks specifically at the classroom management piece of teaching. So let's look at some of the nonverbal components of ENVoY. Can you guess what they are? Shout them out. Oh, I heard you say eyes. You're right, we use our eyes to direct students. We can use them to show power. We can also use them to ignore. Voice, the way we speak. If we speak angry and fast or high-pitched and fast, it can create some anxiety in our students. So it's important to slow our voice, to slow it down, and also to make sure our voice doesn't get into the high ranges. Body. Our body language says a lot. Just now I was slouching, which made you think maybe I'm lazy or didn't care, but I do care. Breathing. Mr. Grinder talks about the importance of a deep breath that helps you stay in control and feel calm in the situation. So these are the 4 components of nonverbal communication in ENVoY. In addition, there are 7 key gems of ENVoY. I'm going to briefly talk about each one, and then in the following weeks we'll go into more detail about each of the gems, and you will have a chance to implement them in your classroom. The first one is freeze body. And this one is very similar to how it sounds. The teacher freezes and waits for the class to track her. The next one is the above whisper. As you can see, this is very effective in drawing students into what you're saying. The next one is raise your hand versus speaking out. I've seen a lot of teachers use this effectively. When a student speaks out, there's no need to call them out on it. A simple redirection like this will remind the student, oh, I need to raise my hand, and the student can be redirected without the teacher even needing to say anything or shame him. The next one is visual exit directions. So these are directions you have for maybe independent seat work or group work, and they're posted so students can see them and reference them when they forget. Number 5 is most important 20 seconds. This means after the teacher dismisses students into independent seat work, the teacher stands still, scanning the room for 20 seconds. For teachers trying this for the first time, it feels like an eternity, but it's so important in allowing the students to start the activity on their own and not get sidetracked. When they see the teacher is calm, and standing in high expectations, they too are going to get started. Once the most important 20 seconds is done, the teacher will have a good idea of which students might still need more assistance to get on track. The next one is off, neutral, on. This refers to the way a teacher approaches a student. When a student is off task, the teacher can approach the student from the side and point down to the work the student is working on. It may take a moment for the student to begin the work again. Once the teacher sees that the student has begun the work, the teacher slowly backs up one step at a time. But the teacher doesn't leave the student immediately in case the student needs another redirection. And the last one is the influence approach. This talks about how you approach a student. You want to come from the side, which shows you have an influence approach, instead of coming from the back of the student or face forward to the student. Well, I gave you a lot to think about. In this next activity, I want you to get into groups of 2 to 3, and I want you to discuss which gem do you think would be the most helpful and why. Now I have the gems written on the board here so that you can refer to them. After you talk about which gem would be the most helpful, I want you to go ahead and discuss which gem are you skeptical of and why. I'm going to be walking around the room and listening to your discussion, and I look forward to what you come up with. The final activity, before you leave today, I want you to write down one thing you learned about ENVoY and one thing about ENVoY that confuses you, and give it to me on your little piece of paper on your way out the door. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed our intro to ENVoY, and I look forward to going into more depth about each of the 7 gems.